Hi, welcome to Budget MTG Decks. All magic fun, all cards on $1. I'm David.
I'm Stefan.
And today we're going to be looking at all the blue cards in Core Set 2019.
We're going to evaluate them for limited, like draft and sealed. Like your upcoming pre-release, where you get 6 packs to open with the new set.
Exactly. And we're going to be evaluating these cards according to our 3-tiered system. Tier 1 cards, these are excellent cards. These are the cards that are going to be winning you the game. These are your bombs, your unconditional removal, and it pushes you into this color if you open it. Then we have our Tier 2 cards. These are also very good if you have a bunch of a particular card that's Tier 2. It pushes you into that color, or if you're already in that color, then it's an auto-include. The Tier 3 cards are filler cards, which means that if we're still missing some drops somewhere on our mana curve, we're going to be using these Tier 3 cards to fill that out. And the rest of the cards, we're going to put those aside because they're either bad or too situational. Now, without further ado, let's get started with the common cards. Our first blue card is Gearsmith Prodigy. For the single blue, we get a 1/2 Human Artificer, and it states that it gets +1/+0 as long as you control an artifact. Now, we cannot guarantee that we will have both an artifact and this card at the same point in time, so you have to assume that we just take it without its ability, and then a 1/2 for 1 is simply not good enough. And even if you'd have the artifact, having it be a 2/2 for 1, maybe later on in the game, is also not good enough. So just put it aside.
Yeah, it will have to be later in the game because then you'll get the artifact, and then a 2/2 for 1 isn't actually that relevant anymore at all. Wall of Mist, 1 and a blue, it's a 0/5 wall and has Defender. It will not really do anything. It can block, but it will not kill anything. If it has 1 power, then it could actually still do something. Yeah. So just put it aside.
The problem with these 0-powered blockers is that not only is the blocking, you can only block one thing, which might not be super relevant, but the problem is it doesn't stop your opponent from attacking with even the tiniest of creatures. Because normally if you would have, let's say, a 1/3, then already they can only attack with their 2/2, but all their 1 toughness creatures they already wouldn't be able to send along. Whereas now they could send along their 2/2 plus another 3/1/1s, for example, and you'd only be able to block the 2/2, taking an extra 3 damage in this example. So it really does not help you in any way. Essence Scatter is next for 1 and a blue. So for 2 mana, it's an instant that allows us to counter target creature spell. Now normally we don't like counter spells because they're usually around 3 to 4 mana. We think that's a little bit too much mana in limited to keep open. You want to be using your mana efficiently. But we're going to put this one on tier 3. It is a filler card as a kind of pseudo removal spell. Why? Because it is so cheap and it counters the thing that you really want to be countering, which is your opponent's bombs. So you will always have a target for it. And the being able to only keep up 2 mana, I think, is actually still quite doable.
Yeah, if you the normal mana you can keep open on a turn without actually really losing it. I think 2 is like around that cutoff. 3 will be a lot more difficult because that means you can't really cast anything. So I think 2 is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Ghost Form, 1 and a blue, sorcery, up to 2 target creatures can't be blocked this turn. It's a really cool card, but you have to have creatures and there have to be enough, and using this card to get something through, will that be enough? And most of the time I don't think that will be enough, so just put it aside.
Yeah. Anticipate is next for 1 and a blue. So for 2 mana we get an instant, which allows us to look at the top 3 cards of our library. We're going to put one of those in our hand and the rest at the bottom of our library in any order. So it replaces itself, but it also digs. As we've discussed already with Scry, which is very strong and limited because we're digging for that bomb, we're digging for that unconditional removal. Anticipate is great because we can keep our mana open. It's instant speed and only 2 mana. So I think if I'm in blue, I would always include it. Tier 2.
Yeah. I mean, card 12, what do you want? Omen Speaker, 1 and a blue, it's a 1/3 human wizard, and when she enters the battlefield, Scry 2. This is also really good, and I really like the body for that mana cost, and I think I always want to play this because it's a 1/3 blocker, and it Scries 2 for only 2 mana. So just tier 2, I always would play this.
Yeah, as we've discussed before in the past, Scry 1 is about the equivalent game-wise of drawing half a card in power level. So this one's got Scry 2, which would be equivalent of drawing a card. Of course, it doesn't draw you a card, but it's the equivalent in power level, which means that we get actually a 1/3, which is a good body for 2, and additionally, it would kind of replace itself.
Yeah.
That's how you have to look at it. It's very strong. Then we go to Disperse for 1 and a blue. It's an instant that allows us to return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. We're going to put this in as tier 3, kind of in the combat trick area of removal, because you're not really getting rid of it forever because they're able to bring it back to their hand, but you can do, could give you a tempo advantage, and additionally, it also hits non-land permanents. It means anything which could be giving you trouble, you're going to be able to return that, so that's super nice.
Yeah. Divination, 2 and a blue, sorcery, draw 2 cards. Elegant, card draw, tier 3, it's a good filler card, because it still costs 3 mana, so that's really important, but it's not expensive enough for late game to not be able to play anything, so I think it's good early game and good late game.
Aven Windmage for 2 and a blue. So for 3 mana, we got a 2/2 flyer. Now, I love my 2/2 flyers for 3. I think they win games. I'm always very happy to see them in white and in blue. And this one also additionally has that whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it's going to get +1/+1 until the end of turn. This is tier 2 right off the bat for me. The fact that when you're attacking with it, people think, okay, if they do have an instant speed combat trick or piece of removal, then they could use the removal against this one creature, and then the creature that I used to block this thing will die because now all of a sudden it's a 3/3 flyer.
Yeah, it is really nice. Dwindle, 2 and a blue, enchantment hour, enchant creature gets -6, -0, and when enchanted creature blocks, destroy it. So you make something really small, most likely will have 0 attack, and if it blocks, it will immediately die, and that's so good. And I think this will be the best removal you'll get in blue. So if you play blue, always play this.
Yeah, absolutely. Aviation Pioneer for 2 and a blue. So for 3 mana, we get a 1/2 Human Artificer, which comes in with a 1/1 Flying Thopter. Now, the 2 bodies, they're not good enough to warrant the 3 mana. I just don't think that's going to do enough, and you should just put this one aside.
Yeah. Uncomfortable chill. 2 and a blue, it's an instant, creatures your opponent control gets -2, -0 until end of turn, and draw a card. I don't think this will be good enough. It will not have enough impact, and just put it aside. I think using your combat tricks more offensively is better than defensively.
Yeah, this really only works defensively, because then you can choose to multiple block, and then you can actually make sure that they're killing stuff. But on the offense, it won't do enough.
Yeah.
Then we move on to Cancel for 1 and 2 blue. It's an instant that allows us to counter target spell. And this is a perfect example. I think Cancel, the fact that it requires the 2 blue and it's 3 mana, I don't really like playing this in limited, so I'm going to put this one aside.
Tolarian Scholar, 2 and a blue. It's a 2/3 human wizard. Decent filler.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? 2/3
exactly.
body for 3, that's fine. That's okay, right? I mean, if your opponent, if you're going first and your opponent plays a 2-drop, then on your turn 3, you can put this one immediately. Already would not have been able to attack you with their 2-drops at all. Scholar of Stars for 3 and a blue. It's a 3/2 human artificer, and it says whenever it enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, draw a card. I think 3/2 for 4 is too expensive. Not good value for the body that we're getting, and additionally, the fact that it only is going to replace itself if we have a card. Just much rather
if you have an artifact.
Sorry, if you have an artifact, I would much rather have the Omen Speaker in that sense. Just describes you.
Exactly. So the next one is Snapping Drake. It's a 3 and a blue. It's a 3/2 flying drake. This will do so much work. The 3 damage in the air is a lot. So tier 2, I always want to play this.
Insanity. Yeah, I've seen Snapping Drakes winning games for decades. Totally Lost is next for 4 and a blue. So for 5 mana, it's an instant that allows us to put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. This is actually tier 2. This is really good removal in blue, because sure, you didn't get rid of it forever, but it basically makes sure that they miss their draw as well, because they're going to have to redraw the card that you removed. And it's instant speed, so you can hold it, wait till your opponent has their bomb, then next turn they're going to attack with it, and then in response to them attacking with it, then it's going to go back on top, and then next turn they're going to have to draw it, and the next turn they're going to have to cast it, and the next turn they can only attack with it. So it really pushes back the threat of that bomb to next week somewhere.
Yeah, it wins you so much time. Salvager of Secrets, 3 and 2 blue. It's a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard, and when it enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. The body for that mana cost is really bad, but when we play as the sorceries limited, it will likely be removal. And getting back removal is so good, and you get a 2/2 body for it. So I think it's a good filler.
Yeah. Next, we move on to Frilled Sea Serpent for 4 and 2 blues for 6 mana. It is a 4/6 Serpent. This is pretty chunky, actually. For the body itself, though, it wouldn't be good enough, but it has for 7 mana, Frilled Sea Serpent can't be blocked this turn. Now, this is insane because actually when it comes in, it's going to block everything, and then should you have enough other blockers to have kind of a board stall, then investing that 7 mana is not going to be a big deal because it just becomes unblockable, straight up unblockable.
I think I wouldn't be sad about paying 7 mana to just like do 4/3 damage.
Every single time, and then they have to answer it. So that wins games, so that means that is tier 2.
Yeah,
right
it
there.
is.
Absolutely.
I always want to play this.
Definitely. And it's awesome art as well. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, those are the commons. Let's have a look at the uncommons.
Our first uncommon is Ether Tunnel. 1 and a blue, enchantment aura, enchant creature has +1/+0 and can't be blocked. We don't really like our auras, but having something unblockable and extra power, sign me up. I think this is a good filler.
Yeah. Especially if you don't have a lot of evasion creatures, if you're really liking those flyers, if you're in, for example, green and black, for example, and green, black, and blue.
We're playing blue.
Green and blue, or black and blue. Then this is a card that you should definitely consider because it allows those chunkier creatures, those creatures that do not have evasion, to really start to shine.
I think, yeah, even with if a lot of evasion creatures, just putting it on your bomb, that's just insane.
Yeah, but early it also does quite a lot of work, because if you can put this on your 2/2 early game and on turn 3 already start attacking with a 3/2 unblockable, that's actually going to close the game off pretty fast. But remember, once again, it is high risk, high reward. You do have a chance of somebody using their removal, and then you're out 2 cards for their 1 card.
Exactly.
Departed Deckhand is next for 1 and a blue. So for 2 mana, it's a 2/2 Spirit Pirate. When it becomes a target of a spell, we're going to sacrifice it. And it can't be blocked except by spirits. And we can also pay 4 mana to make another target creature that also can't be blocked except by spirits. Now this is insane. This is tier 2. We're always including this in blue. If we have a bunch of these, then I'm definitely playing blue. Why? Because a 2/2 unblockable for 2 mana is insanity. Additionally, it can also make your bigger stuff later on in the game also unblockable. Because after all, they're not going to have so many spirits. So this is crazy. You may think, yeah, but wait a second. If it's the target of a spell, it's going to get removed. Well, you know what? All the removal is spells. So they're going to have to target it with a spell anyway to kill it, and then in that case it doesn't even matter that it has that clause.
Yeah. What can happen though is they can use a combat trick on it to kill it.
Sure.
But still, that still is 1 card for 1 card.
Yeah.
Search Mare, 2 blue, it's a 0/5 horse fish. And it can't be blocked by green creatures. And when it deals damage to opponent, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. And for 1 and a blue, Search Mare gets +2, -2 until end of turn. I think it's a pretty decent filler because you can give it power, and if it does damage, then you loot. And that's really good, I think, tier 3. Because you don't have to use that ability.
Yeah. Early game, it's still just a 0/5. I mean, we wouldn't want to have it if it was just a 0/5. But then later on in the game, it becomes progressively stronger as you can use the ability not only once, but you can use it twice.
Exactly. And you don't have to use it when they block it with a 4/4 or something like that. So you just opt to not use it.
Yeah. Then we go on to Exclusion Mage for 2 and a blue. So for 3 mana, it's a 2/2 Human Wizard. It's okay, the body's fine already. And additionally, when it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That's insanity. Once again, tier 2, always play this because it's a removal on a stick.
It's not really removal.
Sort of, yeah. But they're going to be able to cast it again. But yeah, that gives you some time.
Yeah, normally this kind of effect is a lot of more expensive and on worse creatures. So that's why I actually like this one.
Yeah.
Because only for 2 mana you can use it, and the body is a 2/2, which is decent. Not really that great for the cost, but still pretty good.
I think people play this for 5 mana. So for 3 mana, I'm very happy.
Exactly. Tier 2, always want to play this. Mirror Image, 2 and a blue. It's a 0/0 shape shifter. And you may have Mirror Image enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. So it has to be a creature you control, which makes it a bit difficult, but if you have a bomb, you have 2 of them. And I think it's good enough to want to try this out. The thing is, you cannot target a opponent's creature.
I think that's totally irrelevant. I think it's a tier 2, always included. Why? Because as long as you have a converted mana cost 3 or higher creature, you're always getting equal or more value out of this card. So it's not even, sure, ideal scenario, you're making it come as a copy of your bomb, but if you have a Snapping Drake, you make a copy of the Snapping Drake. You could even make a copy of the Exclusion Mage. That's fine. You're always getting the value out of it as long as you're not targeting a converted mana cost 2 or 1 creature. And I think that makes it super, super strong.
You have to be wary, because if you top deck this when you don't really have anything relevant, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, then you just got another body of the best thing you've got.
Which maybe not anything at all.
Yeah, okay, but are you late game? Are you going to have absolutely nothing? I mean, you're not going to even have an Exclusion Mage or something?
I've had games that just people play removal. So
that's true. That's true.
So also, if you play it, someone moves something on instant speed, then...
Yes, there is a scenario.
Yeah.
There is a scenario where it does nothing, but I think there's far more scenarios in a normal limited game where it will do either be on par with its converted mana cost or actually give you something that's even better.
Yeah, I think you should still try it out. I think it's good enough to say, I always want to play this because of the upside.
Yeah.
But still be a bit wary.
I'm more excited about this than Stefan. All right, Skilled Animator is next for 2 and a blue. It's a 1/3 Human Artificer, so okay, the body is a little bit behind curve, but when it enters the battlefield, target artifact you control becomes an artifact. Target artifact creature becomes a creature with power and toughness 5/5 as long as this guy remains on the battlefield. So you can target something that's not a creature as long as it's an artifact, and it becomes a creature, and it becomes a big creature. But the problem is, are you going to have this? Are you going to have an artifact? And you have both at the same time? The body's really not enough if you don't have it, so just put it aside.
Yeah.
Cool art, though.
Psychic Corrosion, 2 and a blue enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of the library into the graveyard. This is not going to be relevant at all, so just put it aside.
No, you're playing limited. You're not trying to have them mill cards.
No.
Then we have a Sift for 3 and a blue. So for 4 mana, it's a sorcery, and it allows us to draw 3 cards and then discard a card. Now, this is more expensive than Divination, which means I like it less because I like the Divination that you can play it early, but you can also play it late and still cast something. A Sift already, the chance becomes much smaller, and instead of drawing 2 cards, we're now essentially getting 2 cards and looting 1 card, which is it is worth the extra pip, but if given the choice, I would go with Divination. If you don't have it, then this one's also okay filler.
Because I like Divination better, because when you play it late game, there's still a chance that you can actually do something with the cards you draw. And with more expensive cards, it will get less and less likely to be able to actually do something that turn, which means you're losing a turn when you're top decking, and with Divination, that chance is smaller.
Yeah, true.
Sleep, 2 and 2 blue, sorcery, tap all creatures target player controls. Those creatures don't tap during the untap step. It's so good. You play it, they got tapped, they lose their creatures for 2 turns. That's insane. Tier 2 always want to play this.
Yeah. It's not a card that you can use early game, but later when the board is stalled, then you play this. You can attack with impunity. You can attack with everything with no fear of retribution. Then in their turn, they can't use it to attack your stuff. So that makes it super, super strong.
Yeah, which means you have 2 turns to attack.
Yeah.
And that's so much damage.
Simply too strong. Then we have Bone to Ash for 2 and 2 blue. So for 4 mana, it's an instant that allows us to target counter target creature spell and then draw a card. Now, this is also too expensive. Sure, replaced itself, but you got to keep that mana open, and it's limited to a creature. You know, just give me Essence Scatter any day of the week over this card.
Switcheroo. 4 and a blue. Sorcery. Exchange control of 2 target creatures. I think you will always want to play this tier 2 because you have a small crappy creature and the opponent has a bomb. So you know what? I'll just give you my crappy creature and I'll get your bomb. Yeah. And the thing is, if they don't have a bomb, you just don't play it.
Yeah. Or you could still get the best thing. Let's say if you've got 2/2/2s and they've got a 2/2 and a 3/2 flyer, I would still do it. Then just take their flyer. Now they have 2/2s and you've got the flyer on your side. Pretty sweet. Next is a Horizon Scholar for 5 and a blue. So for 6 mana, we get a 4/4 flyer. Now we've discussed this before in previous videos. 4/4 flyers, those are your bombs. Those are the cards that are going to be winning you the game, because 4 in the air is simply just basically the biggest thing you can get. Yeah. It also has that whenever it enters the battlefield, we're going to scry 2. So that's again scry 2. That's the equivalent of drawing a card. So that means it would also kind of replace itself. This card wins games because it also it's a huge bomb that wins the game by itself. Plus it also like digs you for the next best thing. Super fast. That's tier 1 right there.
Yeah.
That's it actually for the uncommons. Let's move right on to the rares. The first of our rares is Mistcaller. For a single blue, it's a 1/1 Merfolk Wizard that we can sacrifice to make sure that if a non-token creature enters the battlefield this turn, we're going to exile it instead of it coming into the battlefield. So that means that it's really good for people trying to cheat creatures into play, but it's not good for anything else. So we're going to put that card aside.
Yeah, because if it wasn't cast, limited not gonna happen.
No.
Metamorphic Alteration. 1 and a blue, enchantment aura, enchant creature, as Metamorphic Alteration, enter the battlefield. Choose a creature. Enchant creature is a copy of that chosen creature. 2 mana is actually really cool because you can make one of your creatures into the best thing. But what I really like about this card is you can make someone's bomb into the worst thing. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, people are definitely not expecting that. So I would say tier 2, always play it if you're in blue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always going to play it.
It's really good to remember that the difference between this card and the other shape-shifting card basically is that this one allows us to target anything. So also if we're going to create the best thing, it doesn't have to be the best thing we've got. It can also be the best bomb that our opponents has.
Yeah.
Mystic Archaeologist is next for 1 and a blue. So for 2 mana, it is a 2/1. So the body is but for 3 and 2 blue, so for 5 mana, we can draw 2 cards. Now this is nice because early game, sure, we've just got a little guy that can attack if they don't have anything to block with. We're okay with that. And late game, we can pump that mana into, that's a mana sink that we can use to draw us cards, which is very, very strong. So I would say tier 2, always include this if you're in blue.
Yeah, good filler body and drawing cards.
Yeah. Nice.
Supreme Phantom. 1 and a blue. It's a 1/3 spirit with flying, and other spirits you control get +1/+1, which will probably not be relevant, but still a 1/3 flyer for 2 is pretty decent. A good filler.
Yeah, I'm also fine with just being a 1/3 for 2 as a filler. So this one's also got evasion, so it's got flying, so you can use it to block their flyers.
Even better.
A little bit better, yeah.
With even more upside.
There you go. Psy Master Thopterus is next for 2 and a blue. So for 3 mana, it is a 1/4. Okay, and it's a legendary creature. And whenever you cast an artifact spell, we're going to create a 1/1 Thopter creature token with flying. And additionally, for 1 and a blue, we can sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. Okay, it's a lot of stuff to say. Basically, this is a great commander card, but not really good for limited because too many hoops to jump through, which is just unlikely.
Yeah, you're probably not gonna be having a lot of artifact cards to make it relevant.
No.
1 with the machine. 3 in a blue. It's sorcery. Draw cards equal to the highest confirmed mana cost of among artifacts you control. Like we said, you probably won't have enough artifacts to make this work, so just also put this one aside.
Yeah, too bad. Great for commander once again. Then we have Djinn of Wishes for 3 and 2 blue, so for 5 mana, it is a 4/4 flyer. Sign me up right there. I'm happy. We've already discussed. This already wins games, guaranteed. It also enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on them. And for 4 mana, so for 2 and 2 blue, we can remove a wish counter from it, reveal the top card of our library, and we can play that card without paying its mana cost. If we don't, we're going to exile it. So that is super strong. So additionally, 3 times we can draw a card for 4 mana, plus already it is a bomb by itself. This is tier 1. Super, super strong. Love to see this in limited.
It's not only drawing the cards for 4 mana.
Sorry, we're also playing it. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. You're playing it for free. That's amazing.
Patient Rebuilding, 3 and 2 blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into the graveyard, and then you draw cards for each land card put into the graveyard this way. It might draw you cards, but turn 5 you're not doing anything at that moment, and then you're actually milling and drawing maybe a card or 2. Just don't play it. It will not do enough.
On turn 5 you want to be doing something substantial, and this just does not change the board in any way. Then we have a Wind Reader Sphinx for 5 and 2 blue. We have a 3/7 flying Sphinx. That also states that whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. This is tier 1 insanity. The butt is beyond humongous. The damage, 3 damage in the air, we're very happy with that. And every time it attacks, we're going to be drawing a card. And if our opponents have flyers and attack us, we're also drawing cards. And if we've got more flyers, we're also drawing more cards. So this is just, but even by itself, it just wins the games.
Yeah, the thing is, we didn't like the other 3/7, but this one has evasion, and it draws you cards. It draws you so many cards.
It is substantially better.
Yeah.
Substantially better. That's why this one's rare.
And this one is a tier 1.
Absolutely. All right, those are the rares. Let's have a look at the mythics.
Our first mythic is Tezzeret Artifice Master. 3 and 2 blue. It's a legendary planeswalker, Tezzeret. It comes in with 5 loyalty counters and has a +1, create a 1/1 color, stop the artifact creature token with flying, which is pretty decent. You get a body, it has flying. I mean, can do it constantly, so that's good. 0, draw a card. If you control 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards instead. Card draw, we like that. And -9, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep, search your library for a permanent card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. That is insane. I don't think you're gonna get to it. I think plussing it and zeroing it is good enough to begin with, and I think this will actually win you games tier 1.
Yeah, the fact that we really like planeswalkers that work by themselves, when they don't require a lot of support. And the fact that this one does both. When you've got a board stalled state, then you can just start drawing cards. But if you got nothing, then this one at least creates a little creature that you can use to protect itself.
So that's actually really interesting and really important, that it actually helps you build up a board, and when you have that board, then you can just draw so many cards.
Yeah, super, super strong. Perfect example of a planeswalker card that wins games.
Yeah.
Then we have Omniscience for 7 and 3 blue. So for 10 mana, we got an enchantment that states you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. This is simply too expensive and limited. It's just, you're not going to get enough value out of it for the extreme cost of this. And by the time you can cast this, then you've pretty much got enough mana to cast everything from your hand anyway, because it's not like you're going to have 7 cards in hand at that point.
Yeah, the moment that you can cast this, then you've probably cast the rest of your hand already.
Exactly.
So you can...
Terrible.
Everything is free, but you don't have anything anymore.
No, so it's completely pointless. So put this card aside.
Put it aside.
All right, those are the mythics. Let's have a look at the conclusion.
In conclusion, I actually really like blue. You have card draw, you have flying, you have even some removal. You have one removal that actually says destroy. So that's actually really interesting for blue. And yeah, for the rest, I think I really like blue. It has a lot of things I want to do.
Now, I also enjoy blue because it's got the good unblockable stuff, which is very nice. And what I also really enjoy is that the power and toughness of the creatures are normally costed. So you might say, okay, that doesn't bring it over there, but they have really good abilities attached to them. So normally when we say, oh, okay, the ability is not relevant, but we're getting a 3/3 for 4, so we're happy. But with this one, almost all the creatures with exception of the few that care about artifacts. Pretty much all the other ones have really relevant, good abilities in limited that we can use, and which are better than just having a 1/3 or just having a 3/3, for example. So I actually really enjoy blue, and I think it has a strong contender for being a primary color because of the fact that it does so many things. You know, white, we said already, oh, that's got removal. You should be happy it's got removal. But this one has the potential to have the removal, the evasion, the decent creatures, cool abilities, the whole shebang. I'm actually very excited for blue in this set.
Yeah, but still, blue doesn't really have that many removal. It's mostly like winning you time. So that's what you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's true. Now we're going to remind you guys that we have a Patreon page. If you go to patreon.com/budgetmtgdecks, you can go there and you can become a patron of the show by supporting us with as little as $1 a month. And we've got cool rewards there, so head on over there and check it out. Also, we'd like to ask you to join us on our socials, which is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Budget MTG Decks. You can talk to us there, ask us questions, tell us what you think about these reviews. We can have discussions about some of the deck techs that we've done, all that good stuff. And of course, we share pictures and videos there as well. And finally, we're going to ask you to subscribe here on YouTube for the most powerful decks and advice everyone can afford. And if you do, hit the little bell button, because then you'll get a notification when a new video comes out, and then you can say, hey, I am part of the notification crew. I don't know what that means, but you know, it's something, right? So just hit the little bell button.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. Just be part of the notification. Now, it means you're going to get a video. You get notified when a new video comes out. But all right, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm David.
I'm Stefan.
This was Budget MTG Decks.